Welcome back to another episode of Midweek Modern Craftsman. It's been a while since I've hopped on here just to update you on life, work, family, and pretty much everything in between. Things have been busy, but not in the same chaotic sense as in years past. With the holidays storming through like they always do, it feels as if there are not enough hours in each day. I'm doing my best to work hard, to exercise, spend some quality time with my family, set some goals, and trust the process. And that's what this podcast is about. The first couple of things that I want to touch on. First off, I want to thank my buddy Logan Rolfe. I did not reach out to him yet, so the first thank you, well, this isn't going to come out for a week, so I'll have time to touch base before this, but Logan has been somebody I've had on the podcast, a friend of mine through the podcast, and he sent me 2 new coffees, even told me how he likes to brew them, which is really sweet. So 2 great coffees. He sent me a t-shirt that he made and a nice handwritten note. So I just wanted to say thank you to Logan. I always appreciate coffee. If you guys want to send me coffee, you are more than welcome. But Logan sent me some small batch coffee that I will brew with pour over, not put in my coffee machine. And I'm excited to try these. I have not broken into them. There's been a lot of stuff coming in for mail. Obviously, it's the holiday season, Christmas time for us. There's a lot of mail coming through, and my wife is away, so I have piles of stuff that I haven't had a chance to go through, and I saw a Milwaukee box that was taped up with zip tape, and I'm like, who's sending me stuff in a Milwaukee box? And it was Logan. So thank you, Logan. I appreciate it. I hope that you're well. It seems as if from your note you're doing well. So I appreciate it. And if you guys or girls want to send me coffee, reach out. I will provide you with all the necessary information you need to get me some coffee. I'm a huge coffee drinker. I love good coffee, and that's one of my vices. There's not many that I have at this point in my life. I've left a lot of them in the past. I guess not a lot, but the normal ones. So at this point, coffee is one of my vices, and I will indulge in coffee. What else? Today is workshop day. So Nick and I are going to do our best to put out a workshop, a webinar, a live Q&A once a month, and it'll be on a specific topic. If we have a course coming out, it will be on that course. Basically just another outlet where it's like, hey, maybe we won't record a podcast. We'll hop on. We'll have a live Q&A. We'll speak about a topic. You guys and girls can hop on, pre-register, and join us live. We're doing them at 3 p.m. on Tuesdays, not every Tuesday. You'll hear about it if you're signed up for the email list. But it's the same time that we typically record, and we figured that's the best time, right? That's noon on the West Coast. So hopefully you can dip out for lunch. They're typically going to be around an hour, 90 minutes max, probably closer to an hour. And then if you're on the East Coast, obviously there's in between there, but maybe you just dip out of work a little bit early, head in an hour early so you can leave an hour early. So they're going to be 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, when we are hosting these workshops, you will hear about them beforehand. We'll send out a link to them. We're changing things on the back end where right now, as I'm learning the systems, I'm basically pumping out emails to everyone, even if you've already registered for it. And we're working our way through this. Essentially, if you register, you will not continue to get those emails, only reminders as the event moves forward. So I appreciate your patience while we move through this and figure out the back end of the marketing to make sure that everyone is registered and you're getting whatever benefits and promotional items that we are giving away at any given time. We're working our way through this. It's been a learning process. It's been exciting and fun. But yeah, Nick and I are looking to do hopefully one of them per month. So today is podcast day for our new course that we put out. The course is titled marketing and lead generation for contractors building a business that sells quality and trust. So we're going to get that up on the website. It'll be in our link tree through the Instagram, which is Modern Craftsman Pod. You can also go into the highlights. We have courses in there. We're working on populating the whole back end of this, but today's I'm really excited about this workshop today, where we're going to dig into basically why we created this course, some trends within the market that we are noticing, obviously with interest rates, with the election, the inventory of housing, what the amount of outstanding permits or permit applications are within the country, just market trends, what's going on, what Nick and I have experienced, and the reason that we put this course out in the first place. What we are looking to help, what we provide through this course, what the takeaways can be, how we've implemented the things in this course to basically set ourselves apart from our competition, to build a pipeline of work, to be able to create some scarcity for you, and not be worried about, what's coming in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, to be able to have some volume of lead flow there. So I'm really excited about that. It's going to be at 3 p.m. today. So obviously, if you guys are hearing this, it's a week too late. What a lot of times will happen, if we have a webinar, there will be a special price for the webinar. So if you attend the webinar, you're going to get an early adopter's price plus also a discount for attending the webinar. That's basically until the webinar ends, and then the pricing change and it goes up. So if you're interested in these type of courses or what information we have, it would definitely behoove you to hop on the website, hop on the webinar, which will provide you with a link. So you'll get the best price at that point immediately after the webinar ends. So say the webinar's at 3, at 5 p.m. pricing changes and goes up. And then we'll normally have another early opt-in period, which will be a couple of weeks. Like for this one, it's till the end of the year. So 12/31, New Year's Eve, midnight, clock strikes 12. It's now January 2025. The course then goes up again. So now, as you're hearing this, through the end of the year is by far the best price that you're going to get. And then it goes up come January 1st. So if you're interested in that course, that would be the ideal time to buy that, because it's going to go up somewhat considerably come the first of the year. So essentially, if you're on the webinar today, you're going to be able to get this course for 50% off. And then through the new year, it'll be an additional $50 on top of that, but it's still roughly $200 off the cost of the course. This course is not that expensive. I think today's price is around $250. Through the end of the year, it'll be around $300. And then once the new year hits, it's going to be $500 to opt into this course. I'm really pumped about everything that we have in this course. Put a lot of work into this, really tried to create like not only lessons, but content and deliverables along with this. So for me, this course has been a labor of love. I've really enjoyed everything that we've put into it and working on this. I'm pulling up my slideshow now just about what's going to be in this course. Let me see. So there's 7 learning modules. There's going to be 23 individual lessons within those modules. There are 16 videos. So within those lessons, 16 of them have the text lesson supplemented by video lesson. I have a full SEO strategy roadmap for beginners. So I believe that's 19 pages of information about implementing SEO from a very beginner level to more advanced. And also we give you a handful of our favorite articles to start implementing SEO into your business. We develop an action plan for implementing lead generation strategies. We created a document that you can use to guarantee client fit at the beginning of the lead intake process for your vetting process. We created a quick start action plan for lead generation to get those leads to start flowing in, the right type of leads. We created a 30-day content calendar for you that you can use as basically a roadmap to create a month worth of content and then continue to reuse that with different projects. Obviously different content, but the same basis over and over again. So it's repeatable. We created a marketing resource guide with 6 of our favorite marketing resources. And then we'll have an online community forum for anyone who enrolls in the course, that if you want to speak about what's working for you, what's not working, questions that you have, that Nick and I will be a part of as well. So that's what's included in the course. There's a lot here. Again, we spent a fair amount of time on this, and I'm really excited about this one. Really, really proud of this one. And I'm excited to see what the reception is. So that's today. That's the webinar today. Again, the best price for that is going to be if you attend the webinar, or if you attended, because that's in the past now. But if you did not, I think that was like an extra $50 saving. So basically it was 50% off the cost as of the new year. You still get a really, really good price through the new year. So if you're interested, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me, either hello@moderncraftsman.co or tyler@trghomeconcepts.com. But best not wait until after the new year, because you'll be paying an extra $200. What else is on the agenda today? Oh, yeah. So I better tell you where you can find that course. Again, Modern Craftsman Pod, Instagram. There's a course highlight in our profile that you can get to the courses. We're also working on updating the link tree. So hopefully by the time you hear this, that is updated. There should be a link in there. We should have it up on the website, moderncraftsman.co, by the time this comes out. We're trying to figure out the back end of that to get that uploaded. Also, emailer, right? So if you're not on our subscription for the email, we will dump the course in the email. So that's the best way to do that. You can register for that on moderncraftsman.co. So that's everywhere that you can find this course. Again, marketing and lead generation for contractors. Super excited about this one. So my wife is currently in Vietnam. It's been a couple of years since she's traveled to Vietnam for work. So what happened is her business that she worked for got acquired maybe 6-8 weeks ago. Right after she got acquired, the election results came in. Ton of tariffs overseas, where a lot of their production is. So her between the acquisition and then the results of the election, there's been massive changes in her line of business. So she's in furniture production and design. So she's been just a mile a minute since then. This acquisition has changed the structure, her responsibility. So she ended up having to plan a last-minute trip to Vietnam. She left last Wednesday. She's coming home this Thursday, so it's an 8-day trip. It's that time of year. It's the last week that the girls are in school before Christmas, so they have theme week. They have parties for all their extracurriculars. So I'm just a madman trying to take care of the girls, trying to take care of myself, the dogs. Everyone's still alive, which is good. Rachel, I think, misses being home. I think she misses being home this time of year. I've been handling the girls, the dogs, myself, work, podcast, course creation, marketing, and Elf on a Shelf. It's the first year we're doing it. My kids are 11 and 8, and Selby's passed the Santa Claus Elf on a Shelf aspect of her life, but this is probably our last year with Tilly, so I don't know why this year's Elf on a Shelf. So I've been handling Elf on a Shelf this past week. My Elf on a Shelf is a little bit naughtier and a little bit more energetic than Rachel's Elf on the Shelf. Typically she can be found creating mischief, flying from fans, riding around on the Roomba, cooking stuff on the stove, rolling down the steps. We've been having fun with that. But that's one more thing that I'm having to get up early. I told myself I'd do it at night, but now I'm getting up super early, handling Elf on a Shelf before before Tilly makes her way down. So my wife used to travel a bit more, and she used to go overseas, and it would be 2-3 weeks at a time when the kids were young. And I can recall just not wanting that to happen, wishing she was home. My kids at that point, obviously my wife handles the brunt of them when she's home. She always has. And so the kids are partial to her. So there's two things. When she would go away, it was a little more difficult for me, but also at the same time, it was nice because now I was the center of attention with the girls, which is, it's completely my doing in the first place. My wife spends more time with them and puts more effort into her relationship with them. And I've always taken a back seat to that because it's been convenient for me, to be honest. I mean, it started with my wife's breastfeeding, so I wasn't waking up in the night for the kids. But as they've grown older, if I have something going on, my wife just does for the kids. So if they need something, if they need to go somewhere, she handles it. That's what she does. She's been great with it. When she needs something, we'll work together. I'll get it done. She'll ask me. But she handles most of the weight with the girls. But it's gotten easier as they've gotten older. They're at the age now where they're relatively self-sufficient as much as they want to be. They can talk when they don't feel well, when they're hungry. So it's been easier. It's been a little bit more enjoyable for me and for them. When mom's gone, it's a bit of a party. I'm not so worried about work. I'm not so worried about everything else that I have to do. I just want to focus on them. And it makes them so much more enjoyable because I'm giving them the attention that they probably want all the time. When Rachel's home, that attention becomes more of a nuisance to me than anything else, because it's like, why are you whining? What do you need? Why are you calling for mommy? I'm right here. But when I'm home and I'm taking care of them, I don't mind doing this stuff. I don't mind waking up early and getting their lunch ready, getting them dressed, getting them out the door, waiting for the bus and everything else for them, all the extracurriculars. But for some reason, when my wife's home, if I have to do that stuff, it just seems like a nuisance. I know it's messed up, but it does. When she's gone, I don't mind it. It doesn't seem like such a hassle. It's actually somewhat enjoyable. But I don't know. I don't know why that is. Maybe because I know that somebody else could do it, and it just seems like it's one more thing that I don't really have to do. And I don't think that that's the right mentality or mindset, but that's the dynamic that we have. But I've been enjoying my time with the girls, and the girls have been enjoying my time with me. They had a sleepover at my dad's house. They went and saw Wicked for the second time. We went ice skating this past weekend. We've been doing as much holiday stuff as possible, movies, going out to eat, lots of ice cream, and also all sleeping in the same bed. Which is fun. I don't do that a lot with them, and there's definitely not room for 4 people in a bed. So when it's time to go to bed, we'll all cuddle up in one bed together, it's fun. Selby still wants to do that, so I'm trying to enjoy that while it lasts. 11 years old, probably those opportunities are fewer and far between. Tilly's still young enough that she wants to snuggle some, but Selby, I feel like, is probably on the back end of that. So I've been getting some decent sleep with the girls in my bed while Rachel's been gone. What else has been going on? So this time of year, I try and ride my dirt bike, even though it's cold, as much as possible. A couple of weeks ago, we had a club event that my buddy Ryan put on. So he cuts a bunch of trail throughout the year, and he puts on a ride to somewhat commemorate people who came before us, who had the same passion, had the same hobby. So it was cold. I think it started like 25 degrees in the morning. We did around 45 miles, a decent amount of breaks, but super fun. It's always good. I enjoy getting out in the woods. I enjoy riding my dirt bike. I enjoy being around friends who share the same passion and hobby. I like being outside. I enjoy being in the woods. I enjoy just the stillness of it, the quietness of it. But it was a lot of fun. Racing season is over. I only raced a couple of times this year. I don't know how much I'll race next year, but it's nice to have a break until March where you're not worried about, hey, I need to train. I need to get in this shape. I need to worry about anything other than just going out and riding for fun. which is really, really nice. It's the only place in my life where I'm not worried about my phone. I'm not worried about work, about money, finances. It's just a complete Zen state. You reach that flow state. I haven't had any hobbies or sports that created that for me. And if you don't have a hobby like that, if you don't have any sort of exercise or passion that provides that outlet for you where you're just completely in the zone and you're not worried about anything else, I would, easier said than done, but suggest finding something like that. Because for me, that's one day a week where I get out and like I literally don't care what's on my phone, who's trying to get a hold of me, what deadlines I have, what anyone needs, what I need. I'm just out there living in the moment, literally in the moment. There's nothing else in my life that can hold me and retain me within the moment as much as that. So I do enjoy that. I enjoyed that this time of year. It's just such a nice, cool, crisp time to be out in the woods and outside. So that's been consuming at least one day per weekend on that, which has been really nice. I have some very exciting news for all of you. The Contractor Coalition Summit is hosting a meetup at IBS and KIBS. So that's going to be Monday, February 24th, 2025. I know we're already into 2025. It's crazy. 6 to 8 p.m. It's at the Nomad at Park MGM, Las Vegas. So this is not a summit. This is not a conference. Honestly, this is just going to be a bunch of people hanging out, open bar, food, and all the drinks that you can enjoy. And you'll have extra because I don't drink, so you can have my drinks. Early bird pricing is live. There will be no tickets at the door. So if you want to go to this, you have to buy them beforehand. I'm posting a link to it on this post. Hop on there now. You're not going to want to miss out on this. Again, no tickets at the door. February 24th, 6 to 8 p.m., Nomad, Las Vegas, which is at the Park MGM. I'll be there. Nick will be there. Brad will be there. Morgan will be there. And a lot of other people. So come check it out. Open bar, food, great hanging out. It's really going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you there. And let me know if you have any questions. Christmas coming up. I am one of 5. Rachel's an only child. We typically will hang at our house on Christmas Eve. So I'll have my family over. There's a bunch of us. I think, what did I say? There was 13 adults and 11 kids right now in total with my mom, my siblings, and grandkids. So there's 24 of us. We'll have everyone over on Christmas Eve. And then on Christmas Day, we'll go to Rachel's parents' house, and it'll be a lot quieter because she's an only child, and her cousins are not local. They're on the West Coast. So it'll be much quieter on Christmas Day, which is good for me. I can start to decompress from the holidays because they can tend to get to me. It's a lot, and there's a lot of traffic, and there's a lot of stimulation, and the kids are just off the wall with candy. So I'll be looking forward to Christmas Day. And then I typically take the year off between Christmas and New Year's. Make sure everything's tidied up, buttoned up to hit the new year running. So I hope that everyone can take a bit of a break for themselves leading up into the new year and look to start 2025 off on the right foot. As far as work goes, I have a couple of bigger things lined up for next year. I'm always doing the smaller stuff and working with return customers. I haven't taken a ton of new clients in a while. If you all have noticed, I've been spending a lot of time on the podcast between midweek, course creation, content creation. I'm doing a lot of the graphics and the marketing behind the podcast now, which has been really interesting and fun and challenging for me. It's nothing that I really did with my own business, like to a certain extent, but not this involved. So it's been fun for me. I mentioned this on the last podcast with Nick, if you listen to it, but there's been a lot of aspects of built on work for me that haven't really ignited that fire within me that it did years ago. And I still enjoy being able to craft with my hands and working with my hands, and just having that accomplishment of building something and being out and being physical. I love that. But there's certain aspects of the job where it's like, okay, I already have this licked. I have this figured out. It's going to be somewhat of a boring day. Um, so this is a lot of information, a lot of skills that I have never had, that typically aren't my strongest set of skills. So it's created this um, spark within me where I'm like, I'm a sponge right now, and I'm soaking it all in, and I'm learning so much more. And I have this tenacious and voracious willingness and need to learn more and get better and refine what I'm doing. So I feel that everything I put out in the past 2 months has just gotten considerably better and more consistent and more professional. And for me, that's the goal. So everything that I'm putting out, everything that we're putting out, everything that I'm doing, we're doing, I want to be the best that we possibly can. But this road has not been paved for us and for many people. So we're trying to navigate that road without a ton of people that came before us doing the same thing. So it's going to continue to get better. We're going to refine our skill set. We're going to refine our product, our content, our deliverables. Everything's going to get so much better as we immerse ourselves in this. And that's been really, really exciting for me, really invigorating for me. It's again reignited the spark for the industry, for the trades, for the craft in myself, because a lot of things that I'm digging into to be able to teach or to be able to educate or speak with a consulting client about, I've done for the past 15 years, but I haven't had to learn for 15 years, right? I've known how to do it. It's something that I spend a lot of time navigating early on, but then year to year, it's not like I'm making these massive changes. It's organically shifting. It's evolving, but just small changes, right? Like a percentage change rather than 180 degrees in the opposite direction. So in order to bring myself back to square one, to be able to teach how I got from square one to where I am now, I'm having to relive a lot of that, and reliving a lot of that and diving into all of that with the knowledge that I have now is really interesting, because I can now go engage and truly understand from a numbers and a deliverables perspective. Like, I can quantify the things that I did and how they impacted my business and how they could impact your business. So I can recall it being really exciting while I was doing it. And then it's just been this small incremental evolution and growth over the past 10 years or so. But I'm now rewinding and I'm going back and I'm looking at all those changes and looking at the things that I put in place. And I can actually gauge and quantify how that impacted my business and what really helped and what was probably a waste of time. And then I'm trying to take that and distill that down to basically create content and knowledge and information and courses that are super beneficial and valuable to all of you guys and girls, without having to spend 15 years banging your head against the wall, just growing through these incremental, tiny little changes. So it's been really cool to go back and look at my tax returns and my numbers from when I first started in business till 10 years ago, till 5 years ago, till even the past couple of years, and what the small little changes did for my business. And you look at my tax returns and all the changes within my business and how each little change impacted my numbers and my growth and my margins. And it's been really cool. Obviously, I'm looking to do this with the trade aspect of the business as well. So I put out a paint course. I went back and when I wanted to add to that paint course, because I realized I can provide more value than what I just did with the paint course initially, is I want to put some information about how I price a job and what that looks like, how I estimate a job, what to look out for. And as I was doing that, again, looking at the numbers and gauging those numbers and analyzing those numbers, I was like, well, I should explain to people how I came up with my labor rate and how this is a labor rate for an employee versus a labor rate for myself, and what that means with my bottom line and with my profit margins, and how the volume that's necessary to substantiate those numbers changes, whether it's me performing the work or an employee performing the work. And how do I illustrate that to all of you? How do I clearly articulate and communicate that through numbers in a really distilled fashion, that makes sense to you and is valuable to you? So then from there, I was like, all right, well, here's the total number for this job. How am I going to break that down into, what's my cost of goods sold? Where do taxes go in that? How am I breaking my overhead apart as far as a percentage of cost of goods sold? How am I allocating that to the portion of this job? And then at the end of the day, with this certain approach, with an employee doing this, what's my actual profit? What margin does that create for me? And that will actually illustrate and communicate to you, hey, this many hours, you only made this much profit after your burden, after your overhead, after your cost of goods sold, where you can realize, hey, yeah, that's not enough money for me to just have an employee doing that work. What if I had 2 people? What if I had 3 people? Can I support that volume? Your overhead starts to come down. So I started putting together this information to add to that paint course. And like, for me, that was not the intent. The intent was to create this paint course and just be a quick, easy $100. You can find everything that I use for off the shelf paint. And then I'm like, I want to bring more value to this. I want to add this, and I want to create an estimate. And the estimate led to how did I create my numbers just for the hourly rate for an employee? And then again, at the end of that job, working that employee, what's my margin look like based on how many hours? And now I have this like comprehensive information that I can add to that course that I had no intent on making, but one thing led to another and to another. And I was so immersed in figuring this out and being able to explain it to all of you and to teach you. And it's just been really fun. That's something that I did early on in my career. And then I understood that my numbers work, and I didn't go back all the time and reanalyze them. Like things would change within business and I would alter my numbers to account for that change. But I knew that my numbers worked initially. So I knew that I was accounting for the changes and my numbers were still working, but I didn't necessarily go back and completely reassess all of my numbers. So I was doing that here. And it just shows you how things changes and how things change and how I could probably be changing my model still. And then it creates this aspect of, hey, I really understand my numbers. So now I can really validate those numbers when somebody's like, I can't pay you that much to paint this project. And I'm like, well, here, let me show you. Or if you have an employee where they're like, wait, you're charging that much per hour for this project, like you're making more than I am. But you can say, let me sit down, I'll show you the numbers of what this looks like and how I'm floating overhead and how I'm floating burden, and what I'm actually pulling out of this job based on this many hours, assuming it goes according to plan. So it helps you validate your numbers. It helps you sell work a little bit easier. It helps you just feel comfortable and confident raising your prices if you need to, because you understand what you need to account for and you understand what your margin may be and what your margin should be in order to create a viable, sustainable business. So that whole aspect of the learning and the teaching and the reassessing has been really exciting for me to dig back into and to just quantify with the knowledge and the experience that I have now. So that's what I'm looking to do and spend more time. I've been structuring business to be able to continue to move down this path, because through consulting, through speaking with clients, through coursework that we've created, feedback that we've created, I've learned, like I'm not a huge proponent or believer in legacy in the general sense of the word, as in how am I going to be remembered when this is all said and done. And I'm not so concerned with that as much as like, what's my impact on this industry and in my peer group and within my network and the people who follow and support the podcast and my business? What is my impact large scale? And like I realized a couple years ago, working in a basement filling nail holes, that like I have a potential and a platform to have a much greater impact than this. And I've been trying to figure out what that road looks like and trying to pave that road. And it's led me here. And I'm at the point where I realize, with the feedback and the clients that I speak to on a weekly basis, and what I'm doing with consulting, and the education, the content creation, that I have such an opportunity to have a much larger impact, right? If I teach one person and that person teaches somebody else, or 5 people down the road, that's so much greater impact than me working a job directly for a client, or having a conversation with somebody who works for me or a subcontractor and explaining them my process. I have a much greater impact. I can still do that on the job, but then I have an opportunity to reach thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people, in a way that I never thought that I could. So I don't want to lose sight of that. And I do want to make sure that I'm putting the necessary time and place, because I think that term legacy, and how I can have an impact on people around me and on my family and on the trades. And I want to speak for the owner operators. I want to speak for the small 1, 2, 3 man bands, companies up to 6 people, where maybe you build a couple houses a year, maybe you do renovations, maybe you're just a carpenter. And how do you make money? How do you make a living? How do you support your craft with a business mentality rather than a craftsman mentality? Because we're all really great at what we do, and we're great on the tools, but we don't understand the business end of things. And I've owned that this past year. That was a huge self-realization that I had, and a goal that I had for myself, was just to own that and not pretend that I'm something bigger than that, and not pretend that everyone wants to build houses. Everyone wants to do fully custom work. Everyone wants to do massive additions and build the biggest and the best, because there's a lot of people who don't, and there's a lot of markets that don't support that. So I wanted to own what I felt was like the blue collar of the blue collars. Just the majority of us out there swinging a hammer, who started working for someone and then transitioned into working your way up, and then gaining enough knowledge where you needed to make more money, and then you transition to your own business, and you floundered for a few years, and you're at the point where you're like, I need to make a change. I don't necessarily know how to make a change. I want to be there for those people, to basically remove the in between from when I started to where I am now, or at least to make that path a lot easier. And there's a lot of guys and girls out there who need somebody in that place, who need somebody with that experience, who need somebody who's willing to share that. And so the content that I create, the conversations that I have, the podcasts that I record, the courses that we create, are all based on that mentality. So I'm going to continue to do as much as I can to spend the time in this area. That's the goal for me, to continue to be able to give back and to provide for our industry, because at times that's more important to me, big picture, than providing for a couple of customers per year. That will always be an aspect of my business. That's always there. But if I'm putting all of my efforts into that and growing that, and continuing to maintain that, I don't have time for this side of my life. And this has been bringing me a lot of gratification, a lot of joy. It's been creating a lot of challenges for me that I enjoy solving. So I want to continue down this path, and I want to understand how I can do this the best that I can. And I want the courses that we put out, and the content that we put out, and the marketing and the branding behind that, to all be 100%, like more so than I even spent on doing it with my company and my business and TRG Home Concepts, because TRG Home Concepts only serves a half a dozen people a year. So if I do this for 40 years, I'm at 260 clients. That's not a lot of people. And if those people are not really, what I'm teaching them or what they're experiencing is not relatable or relayable to other people, like my impact begins and ends there. It's a really small number. I can hit 250 people in a day on the podcast, in a day, versus my entire career. So what type of value can I bring to this industry? How can I shed light on the conversations that I have with the brightest people in our industry from past, present, today? Like we just had Gary Katz on. We had Mike Rowe on. All of the people that I'm involved with, Nick, Brad, Morgan from Construction to Style, all the people that we speak with, Jeff Sweener, they are the best and the brightest of our industry, past, present, future, and I can impact more people through those conversations in a day 10 times over than I can throughout my entire career working for clients. Working for clients is a means to an end. It pays my bills. But when I look big picture, and again, that whole legacy thing, like how can I impact people while I'm here? This is the way that I can do that. So all that being said, that's the goal for me, to continue to spend time on this platform, to continue to be able to invest in this. So I'm going to try and find a way to be able to do that, because the reception that I get, the feedback that we get, how we're changing people's lives, really, it's bigger than the money. It's bigger than the ego of serving clients and doing really amazing work. And I really enjoy the person that it shapes me, in how it shapes me as a person, and who I am when I'm able to serve all of you guys and girls in this manner. It's really, really enjoyable to me, and I feel like this is the best version of myself. So thank you all for that. And if there's ways looking into the new year where you want to be able to support this, like hop on the webinars, check out the courses, check out the templates that we're creating, go patronize our partners that we have on the podcast, try their products, to reach out to them. All of these things are going to help support what I'm looking to do, help support the podcast. If there's nothing wrong with being on here and listening to the podcast and taking all the information and the knowledge, but it's essentially been free for 7 years. And if you've found benefit in that, if you found value in that, and you're like, hey, I want to give back, I want to help support this more, I want to help, feed the machine that is the Modern Craftsman Podcast, don't hesitate to hop on and try and purchase something. Like, check out, look what it's about. Hop on a consulting call, hop on a webinar, hop on a workshop that we're having, download our free templates. Be an integral part of this community, because it's nothing without all of you. It's nothing without our partners. It's nothing without our vendors, all the people who support the coursework, who have purchased the pre-construction, the paint course, who have signed up for the webinar. All of this is creating this community that's Modern Craftsman Podcast, that would be impossible without all of you. So again, if you've found value in this, I would ask you to support what we are doing as little or as much as you can to continue to grow this. And you're only investing in your future, and you're only investing in bettering your product, your user experience, and just creating a better business as a whole. So that's how I'm going to wrap up this podcast for today. I'm going to go prep for this webinar. Super excited about it. By the time you hear this, it will be gone. You missed the workshop, but we'll have another one hopefully in January. But if you are still interested in the course until 12/31 2024, 12 a.m. Well, I guess that's 1/1. But until you have through December of this year, until the new year, to get this course basically $200 off what the price will be come January 1st. So don't hesitate. And again, if you have questions, hello@moderncraftsman.co or Tyler at TRG Home Concepts. Sign up for the mailer. go on the website, go on our link tree, go on Modern Craftsman Pod Instagram, hit the highlights for anything and everything that you may need or want. I appreciate all that you guys do, all the support. And again, thank you to Logan for the coffee, the t-shirt, the nice card. I'm glad to see that you're doing well, and I appreciate the love and support. All right, guys and girls, I'll catch you next week.